In this video, we're going to be looking at several of the views surrounding the narrative of David and Bathsheba in 2 Samuel chapter 11 to 12, in dealing with the question, did David actually rape Bathsheba? This is actually a hard question to answer because all the details in 2 Samuel chapter 11 to chapter 12 are not absolutely clear on the topic. And there are two very opposing views on the topic. First, there's the view that Bathsheba was a clever woman who seduced David. This idea is proposed by George Nickel, and he writes an article called Bathsheba, a Clever Woman in Expository Times, and this is written in 1988. Nicole proposes that Bathsheba was bathing very close to David, and that was indeed at the very minimal, according to the article, a neglect on her part. He claims that David did not put Bathsheba under any duress when he called for her. He claims that the text seems to make Bathsheba out to be a willing partner, and she eagerly tells David that she's pregnant in 2 Samuel 11 verse 5. And at the end of the chapter, 11 verse 27, Bathsheba comes to be the wife of David, which reveals that she's complicit in this whole event. The other view, on the opposite side of the spectrum, is David raped Bathsheba. And this is proposed by a famous lawyer and activist, Rachel Den Hollander. She explains her position as she talks to Russell Moore. Let's give her a listen.
And then it said, David fornicated. David didn't fornicate, David raped. And if you understand the power dynamics and you understand the Hebrew and you look at the Levitical examples and discussion of rape, and you understand what Nathan is saying in his parable, it is abundantly clear from that text that David raped. But more often than not, pastors take passages like that and they minimize, downplay, or completely twist what happened. And they apply it even to survivors like Jen. And they twist what happened with that abuse.
This same idea is proposed by Jennifer Andruska in her article called Rape in the Syntax of 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 4. Her take on the passage is that David did in fact rape Bathsheba, and she claims that Bathsheba had no say in the matter. She claims that the syntax in 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 4 does indeed say and propose that David raped Bathsheba. The truth in all of this, in my opinion, is somewhere in between these two extreme views. Sometimes we can learn a lot about a person, about what they say about the Bible, their interpretation of the Bible, and sometimes their interpretation teaches us more about themselves than what it teaches us actually about the Word of God. I would argue that there's nothing in the biblical text that says David raped Bathsheba. The reason I would argue this is that the word that is traditionally used for rape, that is actually used in the next chapter, with regards to Ammon and the rape of Tamar, is not used. If the author of 2 Samuel wanted to teach us that David raped Bathsheba, he would have likely used the word that is used in 2 Samuel chapter 13 verse 14. But he would not listen to her, that's Amnon. And being stronger than she, that's Tamar. He, Amnon, violated Tamar and lay with her. In that word violated in other translations is sometimes translated sexually assaulted or raped. It's the same word as well that is used to speak about the rape of Dinah in Genesis chapter 34. Genesis 34 verse 2. And when Shechem the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humiliated her. Now that word humiliated is often translated as rape or sexually assaulted in other translations. The same word is used to speak about what happens to the Levite's concubine by the men of Gibeah in Judges chapter 20, verse 5. And the leaders of Gibeah rose against me and surrounded the house against me by night. They meant to kill me, and they violated my concubine, and she is dead. And that word violated is as well often translated rape or sexually assaulted. This interpretation of David not raping Bathsheba does not diminish the fact that sexually assaulting someone is a serious sin against a holy God. It's not lowering that sin. It's not making light of any sexual assault at all. As well, it doesn't make David out to be the innocent bystander either. Because if you look at the rest of 2 Samuel chapter 11 and chapter 12, you see that in the eyes of God, he is the one who has sinned against God. For instance, in 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 27, it says, "This thing that David did had displeased the Lord." And David is the one who's confronted by God, by Nathan because of his sin. David is clearly exposed as the one who has sinned against God. In 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 7 to 13. The most important thing we need to learn from this passage is God is gracious. God forgives David. The sin of David is put away, and you can read about that in Psalm 32 and Psalm 51. He is forgiven. His sins are cleansed. But as well, we need to take seriously sexual purity. If we're calling ourselves a Christian, we need to live sexually pure lives. And yes, speak out against sexual immorality. Speak out against pornography. And as well, support in love, by God's grace, those who have been sexually abused, all to the glory of the Lord. Thanks for watching, and God bless.